Alright everyone, in this video I'm going to use Eugenia Cooney as an example, but it's not even really about her as a content creator. Long story short, for those of you who aren't aware, you're not interested in the subject, Eugenia Cooney purportedly, I'm not sure if this is 100% confirmed, although it's fairly openly speculated, suffers, I believe, from anorexia. And unfortunately over time has gotten more and more skinny to the point where she looks like she's ready to collapse, in all honesty. There have been some people claiming that she's having muscle spasms, it appears, in some of her videos, and it's sad. It is a creator that I think, number one, quite popular, number two, I think is a likable individual. So it's sad to see. And of course it could be like some chronic, like maybe she has superbug TB or something. It has nothing to do with that, and that comes out after she dies, which is unfortunately likely at any given point. My reading of it is this, though, and I'm only doing this video primarily from the perspective of a content creator specifically geared against censorship. And that's that I've seen people saying, well, she should be banned from YouTube, maybe temporarily, to get help or something. And I'm thinking, first and foremost, that's not going to help. If a person's got anorexia, or some other nervous disorder of that type, substance abuse or whatever, it's not going to be helpful to deprive them of a main source of income, to deprive them of a place where they can communicate with others. In fact, I think it would make the problem worse. Number two, I don't think it's really anyone's business, even if there are obvious signs that a person is having such issues in their life, because you could think of it this way. Imagine that someone was, like, using their Patreon money and snorting it up their nose or something. You might not get any real indicator of that. You might not know that it's happening or have no visible evidence. The fact is that in her case, because she shows herself on camera, you've got more visible evidence. The looming dilemma comes when somebody like Eugenia Cooney dies, after a prolonged period of people talking about them having such an issue. The day that happens, and I say when it happens because it's unfortunately highly likely, and really I do hope that she seeks the help that she needs, not saying that in a patronizing way, but more of a, hey, you get millions of fans, fucking try to stay alive, it'd be a good thing. Unfortunately, the next day what'll happen is that you'll see a bunch of, prediction here, you'll see a bunch of hit pieces against YouTube and against the online community in general by BuzzFeed and Vox and the New York Times and CNN and the HuffPost and all of these groups. And they will say Silicon Valley needs to do more. Silicon Valley needs to start banning people, deplatforming people, referring people to law enforcement or medical community or whatever, getting involved in people's personal lives because corporations need to be benevolent. We've already seen them try to make this argument. Think of the children. You gotta ban conspiracy theories, because think of the children and stupid shit like that. It'll do harm, essentially. Well, here's this YouTuber, prominent star, millions and millions of fans see her withering away, and they'll probably become, it's like they treat anorexia like it's contagious or something, which I think is disgraceful, number one. Number two, but they'll make the argument that YouTube and other sites need to do more. Silicon Valley always needs to do more. There's always something else that needs to be policed, because if we only have more censorship on the internet, somehow society will be a better place. Now, I completely disagree with that. I completely reject the argument. I think that it makes things intrinsically worse. But they will attempt to attack Silicon Valley for this. Then what will end up happening? Silicon Valley will say, very well, they'll crack down, and then alt tech will get pressured into cracking down as well, and those sites that don't will get deplatformed for not doing so. And Congress will finally care about the issue of the tech world, except that it'll be to pass some stupid bill making these sites probably accountable for this sort of bullshit. So unfortunately, the looming, and it might not even be Eugenia Cooney, it could be any other major user. We find out tomorrow that PewDiePie has a coke problem and didn't get kicked off and he overdosed or something. Ends up in the hospital or dies. When that happens, unfortunately, as it necessarily will, you'll see insane numbers of pushes from these groups that don't even like Silicon Valley fully, and certainly don't like independent content creators, to try to screw with their lives. So meanwhile, their pundits will have coke in their desks, and any YouTuber who so much as buys a beer with some of their super chats or smokes on a stream or something will get kicked off of the internet entirely. You watch. It's unfortunately what's going to happen. You just know that it's coming. Because those scumbags don't care about people. They're looking for an excuse to destroy their competitors. And Silicon Valley is looking for an excuse to sort of weed out anyone who's edgy. They're doing that at the behest of their advertisers, and also because, as I've said, in the wake of adpocalypse, I pointed this out years ago, there are too many content creators for too few ads. The ad-driven internet no longer works. So they can shove aside some of these groups of people in order to clear the way for other people. Why do you think they started demonetizing so much shit? It's so that people at the very top can have everything fully monetized and there will be enough ads to go around. They're trying to funnel things to the 1%. Oddly enough, not that bad a business strategy. I mean, they're the ones making most of the money for the platform in terms of business deals and shit. So when I'm looking at the situation, I'd say first and foremost it's quite sad that this is happening in her life. And the idea, by the way, that it's the responsibility of her fans or some other random YouTuber to intervene or to get involved in some way. This is an adult individual who has people in her real life, and I'm wondering, are they getting involved? Or have they basically given up or stepped aside and they're not doing anything? People are talking about her mother saying, I don't know enough about that personal situation. I don't care to. It's none of my business. It's none of your business either. And the idea that, oh, people watch this YouTuber do something, therefore they're going to do it. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That's like people who argued, oh, kids are going to replicate Jackass and kill themselves. Well, a handful of morons did. It was always just a handful of morons. Oh, these kids are going to start eating bugs and weird shit because they watch Fear Factor. Okay, that one probably happened. I remember I tried buffalo testicles. I thought they tasted just like steak, dude. Other than that rubbery coating on the outside, by the way, remove that. You shouldn't eat it. Why would you want to? Come to think of it, why would you want to eat buffalo testicles? I don't know. Maybe it's just the Fear Factor fan in me at the time, so I could plead that. But Eugene, you know, well, you look at her videos from 2 or 3 years ago, and you look at her videos now, like the newest ones. Yeah, there's a problem. Some sort of problem is there. Again, though, I would challenge you, how would you prove objectively that she doesn't have some sort of like an autoimmune disorder or something? Maybe there's literally nothing to be done, and she's like, I'm not going to discuss it at all. People don't need to know. I'm just a fashionista, basically. She tries on dresses and does musical shit or whatever, makeup and shit. But I like her channel. I'm no longer a subscriber because I'm like, I've never really watched it that much, but it's like, it's innocuous enough. She's not trying to encourage people to, you know, cut themselves and stuff like that. So I don't know that there's a problem. That's not Silicon Valley's business. They're platforms. It's none of their business if you can't stop people from doing things in their life that are harmful. It's impossible. It's never going to pass all the laws you want. The law against you're not allowed to be anorexic. Go to jail if you are. Okay, well, you fucking shove a funnel in people's throats. 100 years from now, people will laugh and think that you were a barbarian. So I don't know exactly. What do you expect to accomplish except more censorship? And they're like, you want to hand Silicon Valley the power to determine, well, this person's personal life doesn't conform to our expectations, even where they're engaged in totally legal behavior that harms nobody but themselves at most, and yet we're still going to ban them or suppress them in some way. And you think that it'll be not misused at all. You think that legacy media firms won't pressure them to try to go after anyone in the alt media who has anything about their life that could be perceived of as harmful. Well, you have a gun. That could be harmful. How do we know you're not using your platform to buy bullets? You can't be on YouTube anymore. You can't take super chats. You can't use Patreon anymore. You drink. You smoke tobacco or something. You smoke weed. It's still federally illegal. I'm surprised Joe Rogan hasn't gotten kicked off for that since they purged all the weed growing channels months ago. You do realize that, right? Like, YouTube went full moralist on that. They sound like a bunch of Bushites. And I realize some platforms, like, I don't think Twitter really gives a fuck, but I mean, you know, it'd be really, really funny to see Jack Dorsey and Sundar Pichai and Mark Zuckerberg and all these others sitting around passing the bong. Get Elon Musk in there, they'll have some really weird conversations. Get the ghost of Carl Sagan at a seance. It'd be really funny. That's about all. Peace out.